You hear a sound in the night. Your body reacts before your mind understands. But listen carefully. Is the sound a threat, or is your lack of control the real danger? The untrained mind invents enemies. The disciplined mind observes signals. Today, we do not chase fear, we train awareness. Because nothing external has power over you, unless your mind gives it permission. When a sound reaches you, understand this first. Sound itself has no intention. It is not good or bad, threatening or protective. It is simply vibration moving through space until it meets your awareness. What gives that sound meaning is not the world outside you, but the condition of the mind that receives it. This is where most people lose control. They hear something unfamiliar, something sudden, something that disrupts their comfort, and immediately the mind rushes to label it. Danger, omen, warning. But this reaction does not come from wisdom. It comes from habit. A disciplined mind does not jump. It listens. It allows the sound to arrive fully without attaching a story to it. You must understand this deeply. The moment you name a sound as a threat, you stop hearing it clearly. You are no longer listening to the vibration. You are listening to your fear. And fear is loud. Fear distorts. Fear creates enemies where none may exist. People ask, what does this sound mean? But a stronger question is, why does this sound disturb me? Because two people can hear the same noise, and only one will be shaken by it. The sound did not change. The listener did. This is how sound becomes information. Not information about something approaching you from the outside, but information about what is untrained inside you. If your mind is scattered, every unexpected sound feels like a warning. If your emotions are unresolved, every silence feels heavy. If your attention is weak, the smallest noise can pull you into imagination. The world is not attacking you, it is reflecting you. Sounds do not carry messages of fear. They reveal the state of your awareness. This is why the warrior trains listening, not reacting. Listening requires patience. Reacting requires none. When a sound appears, you stay with it. You feel how your body responds. You notice the tightening, the urge to escape, the stories forming, and instead of following them, you observe them. In that moment, the sound loses its power over you, not because the sound disappears, but because you are no longer ruled by it. Understand this clearly. The mind that is calm hears truth. The mind that is restless hears threats. So when people speak of signs, omens, or unseen forces, they are often describing their own inner disorder. They are not wrong. They are simply listening through confusion. The practice is simple, but not easy. When sound arrives, do not chase meaning. Do not resist it. Do not fear it. Let it pass through you like wine through an open door. Over time, you will notice something important. The sounds that once unsettled, you no longer control your breath, your posture, or your thoughts. You remain centered. When a sound returns again and again, the mind immediately searches for meaning outside itself. It asks, why is this happening? And quickly moves towards superstition, coincidence, or fear. But repetition is not a message of threat. Repetition is a test of awareness. Life does not repeat itself to scare you. It repeats itself to see if you are paying attention. Understand this clearly. Patterns exist everywhere. The sun rises daily. Your breath moves in cycles. Your thoughts repeat the same stories. So when a sound appears repeatedly in your environment, it is not breaking the order of life. It is following it. What feels unusual is not the repetition itself, but the way your mind resists it. A disciplined listener does not rush to escape a pattern. He studies it. When something repeats, it asks you to slow down, to stop running, to stop distracting yourself. Because repetition exposes what you avoid. The mind that is always busy will call it coincidence. The mind that is anxious will call it danger. But the mind that is present will call it information. Not information about an outside force, but information about your level of awareness. You must be careful here. Many people believe that repeated signs mean something is coming toward them. In truth, repeated signs often mean something inside you is not moving. The same sound returns because the same inner state remains. Until you change how you listen, life has no reason to change what it presents. This is why discipline matters. If you wake each day scattered, the world must repeat itself loudly to reach you. If you live without presence, life must tap you again and again until you notice. Repetition is not punishment, it is persistence. It is life saying, you missed it the first time, slow down, look again. When a sound repeats, do not ask, what does it want? Ask, what is it showing me about myself right now? Does it trigger impatience, fear, curiosity, resistance? Each reaction is a doorway into self-knowledge. The sound is simply the key. Your response decides whether the door opens or remains closed. A calm mind recognizes patterns without becoming trapped by them. It does not obsess, it does not ignore. It acknowledges and remains centered. This balance is important. When you chase meaning, you lose stability. When you dismiss patterns, you lose insight. Awareness stands in the middle. You will notice that when your attention sharpens, repetition loses its grip. The sound may still appear, but it no longer pulls you out of yourself. It no longer demands interpretation. You have already learned what it came to teach. And once the lesson is received, life moves on. There is a reason certain sounds disturb you while others pass unnoticed. It is not because the sound carries darkness, but because it touches something unsettled inside you. The world does not inject fear into you, it activates what is already there. This is difficult for many to accept because it removes the comfort of blaming something external. But growth begins the moment you take responsibility for your inner state. When a sound unsettles you, observe your body. Notice how the breath shortens, how the muscles tighten, how the mind rushes forward to imagine outcomes. None of this comes from the sound itself. It comes from stored tension, unresolved emotion, and a lack of inner order. A disciplined mind remains open. A disordered mind contracts. The sound simply reveals which state you are in. People often speak about external forces influencing them, yet they ignore how easily their own emotions overpower them. Anger, anxiety, guilt, and suppressed fear do not disappear just because you ignore them. They wait. And when a sound breaks your routine, they rise to the surface. That is why the same noise can feel neutral one day and threatening another. The difference is not the environment. The difference is you. Understand this. What disturbs you controls you. If a sound can pull your mind into chaos, then chaos was already present. This is not a weakness. It is an invitation. Life is offering you a mirror. Instead of asking how to escape the disturbance, ask what it is revealing. Are you exhausted? Are you overwhelmed? Are you avoiding silence because silence forces you to face yourself? Many fear certain sounds because silence exposes them. In silence, there is no distraction, no story, no external enemy. There is only the mind, and for those who have not trained it, this can feel unbearable. So when an unexpected sound appears, the mind grabs onto it, turns it into a threat, and avoids looking inward. This is why discipline is essential. When the inner world is ordered, external noise loses its ability to shake you. You do not need to suppress fear, you need to understand it. You sit with the discomfort. You breathe through it. You watch it rise and fall. And slowly, what once felt threatening becomes neutral. Not because the sound changed, but because you did. The strongest individuals are not those who avoid disturbance, but those who remain steady within it. They know that every reaction is a message. If irritation arises, it points to impatience. If fear arises, it points to insecurity. If confusion arises, it points to a lack of clarity. Nothing is wasted. Everything teaches. When you stop fighting the disturbance and start listening to it, transformation begins. The sound no longer feels like an attack. It becomes feedback. And feedback, when received calmly, leads to mastery. Silence is often misunderstood. People think it is the absence of sound, something empty, something passive. In truth, silence is active. It is a state of readiness. It is the ground from which clarity grows. Those who fear silence usually live in constant noise, not just around them, but inside them. And a noisy mind is easy to disturb, easy to mislead, easy to control. When you fill every moment with sound, you weaken your ability to listen. Music, voices, notifications, constant stimulation. These become a shield against self-awareness. But what you avoid does not disappear. It waits. Silence removes the distractions and exposes the condition of your inner world. This is why silence feels uncomfortable at first. It reveals what has been ignored. A disciplined individual does not run from silence. He enters it willingly. He sits in it. He trains within it, because silence sharpens perception. When the mind is quiet, you begin to notice subtle things: your breath, your posture, the rhythm of your thoughts. This sensitivity is not weakness, it is strength. When you are sensitive, nothing needs to shout to reach you. Silence is also protection. A mind that is settled cannot be easily invaded by fear. When you are constantly reacting to noise, you live outside yourself. You are pulled in many directions, always responding, never centered. In silence, you return to your axis. You stop leaking energy. You stop feeding unnecessary stories. What once seemed mysterious loses its grip because mystery feeds on confusion, not clarity. Many believe that staying alert means staying stimulated. This is false. True alertness comes from stillness. A lake reflects clearly only when its surface is calm. In the same way, intuition functions best when the mind is quiet. Silence allows you to distinguish between imagination and reality, between reaction and response. This is why silence weakens deception. Fear needs noise. It needs repetition. It needs distraction. In silence, fear has nowhere to hide. You see it as it is, temporary, passing, dependent and attention. The more familiar you become with silence, the less power external disturbances have over you. Sounds may still arise, but they no longer enter you uninvited. Training silence is not about isolating yourself from the world. It is about stabilizing yourself within it. You can move through noise without losing stillness. You can hear without being shaken. This is mastery, not control over the environment, but control over your response to it. When silence becomes your foundation, you do not need protection from the outside. You carry it within you. Nothing attaches, nothing lingers, everything passes. Fear has a way of making itself feel intelligent. It whispers warnings, creates urgency, and convinces you that reacting quickly is the same as being aware. But fear does not sharpen perception, it clouds it. When fear enters the mind, imagination takes control and reality becomes distorted. A simple sound becomes a threat, a pattern becomes a prediction, and the mind, once steady, begins to race ahead of itself. Understand this: fear does not come from what you hear. It comes from what you believe about what you hear. The sound is neutral. Fear gives it a story. And once the story begins, the mind starts feeding it with memories, images, and assumptions. This is how illusion grows. Not because something external is gaining power, but because attention is being misdirected. Fear amplifies everything it touches. It makes small things feel large and distant things feel close. It removes proportion. This is why people under fear struggle to think clearly. They are no longer responding to the present moment. They are reacting to imagined futures. In this state, discipline collapses. The breath becomes shallow. The body tightens. The mind loses its anchor. Many believe fear protects them. In reality, fear exhausts them. It keeps them alert but never at peace. And a mind that is never at peace is easy to manipulate. Fear thrives on repetition, noise, and uncertainty. It weakens your ability to pause, observe, and choose your response. The training is not to fight fear, but to see it clearly. When fear arises, do not suppress it and do not follow it. Stay with it. Feel how it moves through the body. Notice how quickly it demands action. Then slow down, breathe deeply, create space. In that space, fear begins to shrink, not because it has been defeated, but because it has been understood. When you stop reacting, fear loses momentum. It cannot survive without your attention. The moment you withdraw belief from the story, the illusion fades, the sound remains, the environment remains, but your relationship to them changes. You are no longer pulled outward. You remain centered. This is where true strength appears. Not in the absence of fear, but in the ability to remain steady when it arises. A disciplined mind recognizes fear as a signal, not a command. It listens without obeying. It observes without surrendering control. When fear no longer governs your reactions, clarity returns. You hear more accurately, you see more honestly, you respond instead of react. And in this clarity, illusions collapse on their own. Awareness changes the role of everything you experience. What once felt like a warning becomes guidance. What once felt threatening becomes useful. This is the final shift, from interpreting life as something that happens to you to understanding it as something that works with you. When awareness is present, nothing is wasted. Every sound, every pattern, every reaction becomes material for growth. Most people ask, what does this mean? Because they want certainty. They want answers that remove discomfort. But awareness does not rush to explain. It stays with the experience long enough for understanding to arise. Naturally, when a sound appears, awareness does not label it as good or bad. It notices how the body responds, how the mind reacts, and what habits are exposed. In this way, the sound stops being an external event and becomes a teacher. Wisdom does not come from collecting interpretations. It comes from refining perception. The more present you are, the less you need explanations. You see clearly what is happening without adding fear or fantasy. Awareness strips away excess meaning and leaves only what is essential. This is why a trained individual no longer feels hunted by signs or signals. He feels informed. He knows that life communicates through experience, not through threats. The moment you stop resisting what you notice, you begin to learn from it. Awareness turns confusion into clarity, not by force, but by attention. When awareness is weak, the mind searches for protection outside itself. When awareness is strong, protection becomes internal. You trust your capacity to observe, adapt, and respond. This trust removes the need for panic. You are no longer searching for hidden enemies or secret messages. You are listening to what is actually happening. Over time, awareness refines your intuition. Intuition is not imagination. It is sensitivity grounded in stillness. It allows you to sense when something matters and when it does not. Without awareness, intuition becomes guesswork. With awareness, it becomes reliable. This is the difference between superstition and wisdom. Superstition reacts to experience. Wisdom learns from it. One gives power away, the other builds it. When awareness leads, even uncertainty becomes manageable. You do not need to know everything in advance. You only need to be present with what is here. Eventually, the question changes. You no longer ask, what should I fear? You ask, what is this training in me? And in that moment, every experience aligns with your growth. Nothing distracts you from your center. Nothing pulls you off balance for long. This is mastery, not controlling the world, but understanding yourself within it. And with awareness, every sound becomes wisdom.